Hello, BookTube. I have a book tag for you today. I was tagged by Josh at the Literary Gladiators, who, while he was tagging me, mentioned that he likes to change up the people that he tags when he makes book tags. I've heard that from other booktubers. Of course, I wholeheartedly agree. You should definitely change up the people you tag, provided I'm always one of them. And this tag, which will be hilarious to the people who know me in real life, is a foodie tag. it's it's the Cannoli Book Tag, the latest in his epic series of food-related book tags. I thought we'd get right to it. It's a lot of fun. Although I should point out, and I don't know if this will make him faint dead away, I have never eaten a cannoli, nor would I ever dream of eating a cannoli. It's not fried at Sully's in South Boston, so what use is there? But anyway, someday you'll all come to Boston and we'll all go to Sully's. Number one, Shell. Which author or publisher comes out with the best covers? The one that's on my mind today is the beautiful covers of the Penguin Classics Deluxe editions. This is one of the newer ones. Portrait of an Artist as a Young Man, but it doesn't have to be this one. They're all just unbelievably gorgeous. Just the way books should look. This one is by Roman Muradov, but I've got a shelf of them and they're all beautiful. So I definitely nominate that. Question number two, Cream, an author who's good at everything they write. Once upon a time, in the previous century, I would have said William Dean Howells, an author that I'm pretty sure most of you don't know. In the late 20th century, his great masterpiece, The Rise of Silas Lapham, was dropped from a lot of school curricula. I don't know why, but as any teacher among you will know, that is the key to literary immortality. If your book is taught in schools, you live, and if it's not, you die. And if you don't remember Howells for The Rise of Silas Lapham, you're not going to remember him for anything, but he actually wrote well at everything he did. Travel writing, book reviews, long essays, editorial squibs, humor, novels, short stories. He was just a all-around good guy. But in modern times, slightly more modern times, my candidate would be Ursula Le Guin, science fiction author Ursula Le Guin, who's actually great at everything she does. Just gets a writing assignment, gets a writing idea in her head, and just does it. Just digs down and does a great job. Let's see here. Question number three. Chocolate chips. A trope you believe always seems to work. You know what trope never works? Misusing the term trope. That's what trope never works. Question number four. Chocolate covering. It's hard to believe all these things are in one food item, but even so. A cover you felt was much better than the story. Well, since we have it right here, that will do just fine, although a vomit-covered brown paper bag would be much better than James Joyce. So, I guess it's just a question of perspective. Question number five, powdered sugar. Where do you look first in a bookstore? What a great question. Unfortunately, my answer is a touch vain. Like I suspect a lot of published book critics, the first place I go is the paperback new release table to look for blurbs. In my own defense, not just my blurbs, I look for blurbs of all sorts of people I know. but I gotta tell you, the juvenile thrill of seeing a blurb of yours on a book, especially if it's a name blurb, if your name is printed on a book, it just never goes away. It's wonderful. So I go there first. And then the second place I always go is blank books, journals. Because, I don't know, unlike a lot of other stuff that I see in bookstores, I like, holding and weighing and looking at a blank book before I buy one. They're not the kind of thing I would ever want to buy online. And then eventually I get around to the books. Let's see here. Number six, dried fruit. Work you enjoyed, but question its adaptation. Well, the work is Hamlet. This is the Harold Jenkins edition of Hamlet that is just amazing. Look at that. Every page is half notes. And the adaptation that I question, I don't just question that, I hate it, is the Kenneth Branagh Hamlet that's won so many plaudits. I think it makes every single Hamlet adaptation decision you can possibly make wrong. It encounters every one of them and makes them wrong. And you could do a whole video on it. There's no directorial decision in that movie that's correct. It's just the biggest flaw, the biggest failure of Branagh as a director that I've ever seen, much less as an actor. So that would be a rare example of mine where the movie adaptation is not better than the original. Question number 7. Pistachios, a work or author you enjoyed, but you realize that it's an acquired taste. Well, there is a great work of literature that not all people realize as such. It's a little thing called Meg. And it comes down to a lack of information. That's why people don't understand Meg. And our main character, Jonas Taylor, is constantly trying to provide that information in gigantic info dumps throughout the book, so it's not his fault. It's the first thing you have to realize about shark family is that they've been around for about 400 million years. Compare that with humans, whose ancestors fell from the trees about 2 million years ago. And of all the species of sharks ever to have inhabited the ocean, the megalodon was undisputed king. Because people talk like that all the time. What little we know about these monsters is that nature endowed the creatures not just to survive, but to dominate every ocean and marine species. So we're not just talking about a shark here. We're talking about a formidable war machine. Forget for a moment that this species was a 60-foot version of the great white shark. The Meg was the supreme hunter of the planet during the reign of the dinosaurs, endowed with over 70 million years of killer instincts. Besides its massive size and murderous 7-inch serrated teeth, the creature was also possessed highly efficient sensory organs. See, the more you know. Let's move on, shall we? Question number 8. Minnie. A short story writer or poet you want to recommend. This could be anybody at any given day, because I'm constantly foraging. But I would recommend Jack Gilbert. For your consideration. This is a slim volume of poetry of his called Refusing Heaven. I'll read you just a short poem with they're all wry and world-weary, but they have a kind of battered optimism. I like them very much. This one's called Say You Love Me. Are the angels of her bed the angels who come near me alone in mine? Are the green trees in her window the color I see in ripe plums? If she always sees backward and upside down without knowing it, what chance do we have? I am haunted by the feeling that she is saying melting lords of death, avalanches, rivers, and moments of passing through, and I am replying, yes, yes, shoes and pudding. A very good poet, I think. But let's see here. Number 9, Lemon Zest. An author you feel has the greatest way with words. It's a slightly open-ended question, but the one that's been on my mind lately, because June is my month for rereading the Iliad, is George Chapman. This is his Iliad, but he's just a prodigious wordsmith, I think. Like, for instance, I found there's one random moment here on the battlefield where the Greek soldier is facing off against some Trojan opponents, and he, most suffering-minded Tydeus' son, that hast a war of art, my shaft, that stroke thee, slew thee not. I now will prove a dart, meaning I threw a spear and it didn't kill you, I'm going to try again. This said, he shook, and then he threw a lance aloft and larget, that in Tydeus' currets struck, quite driving through his target. Then brayed he out so wild a voice that all the field might hear, now have I reached thy root of life, and by thy death shall bear our praise's chief prize from the field. Tydeus, undismayed, replied, thou errest, I am not touched, but more charge will be laid to both thy lives before you part. At least the life of one shall satiate the throat of Mars. That's awesome. Just the idea that would never have occurred to Homer of Mars gulping down hot blood from the battlefield. That's awesome. I can't get enough of Chapman. Let's see here. Number 10, cinnamon. A tip you have for being a better reader. I've got this quite a bit in comments fields and emails and whatnot. How do you become a better reader? There are only 2 ways to become a better reader. The first one is to practice, is to read all the time. If your busy schedule, your your busy life only allows you to read for an hour a week, you can't expect to get any better at it, any better at, instant comprehension, at retention, at speed. It takes practice like anything else. And number two, more important than number one, is concentration. The way to be a better reader is to concentrate on reading while you're doing it and nothing else. It has to be everything you're doing at the moment. I never understand people who think they can, pick up a book, start reading, check their email, check Facebook, check Twitter, always be ready if the phone rings. And it always amazes me that they think that that reading is somehow failing them. No. You wouldn't want a surgeon operating on your heart to have distractions, now would you? And I assure you, the author of whatever you're reading doesn't want you to have distractions. He wants your total attention. So that would be my two tips for being a better reader. Read more. And when you read, concentrate completely on what you're doing. Although I don't really know what that question is doing here, but that's all right. It's still a great question. Number 11, The Godfather, a book with multiple deaths. I'm afraid we'll go right back to Hamlet, which has an ending in which, stereotypical as it is to say, everybody dies. Bodies dropping left, right, and center. It's awesome. And let's see here. The number 12 is Dessert Tray. Who do you tag? I have a few names here. I tag JustJuanReader. I tag Nash from the Book Bag. I tag P.T. Hylton and the Bookchemist. And because of the nauseating pictures of food that he's posted on Twitter, I tag Adam from Mementomori. And that's it. That is the Cannoli Book Tag. I have done a foodie tag. Almost unbelievable. Thank you, BookTube.